If you want to speak English like a returnee, this is a must-see. Hey guys, it's Roki. Today I will introduce you how to speak English like a returnee. When you think of returnees, I think a lot of Japanese people envy them because they can speak English so fluently. I think that is the image that Japanese people have of returnees. By definition, a returnee means a person who has been abroad for more than 1 year due to his or her parents' job and has returned to Japan. I'm actually a returnee myself, having spent 4 years overseas when I was in elementary school. So, when I was a student, I was able to speak English better than other people, so I was often asked by my friends, "Tell me how to speak English," or "Teach me English grammar." However, I could not teach my friends at all. The reason is that returnees learn English unconsciously. If you are asked by a foreigner, "Teach me how to speak Japanese," are you able to teach them? The answer would be no. Since I could speak English and I liked it very much, I was so frustrated that I could not teach my students. So I thought to myself, I'm going to find a way for Japanese people to speak as well as returnees. That's when my battle began. I started by researching how returnees like me learn English. And by research, I don't mean just reading books. I did research not only at university but at graduate school, wrote papers, and presented my research in conferences. I even tried submitting my research to international journals. And it doesn't stop there. In order to test my study methods, I experimented myself to learn French and German. En ce qui concerne le français, j'ai autant le niveau préalable du test de compétences en anglais, j'ai autant le niveau qui me permettre de l'utiliser dans le monde des affaires. Et bien sûr, ce n'est pas comme si je savais lire, mais pas parler. Je peux parler l'allemand, mais pas autant que le français, parce que je n'y ai pas consacré autant de temps qu'en français. As a result of this experience, I have arrived at the best way to speak like a returnee. And today I would like to introduce this to you. If you want to speak English like a returnee, this is a must-see. And if you are interested, please subscribe to my channel as I will continue to share information on how to speak English like a returnee. There are 3 ways to speak English like a returnee. Use communication strategies, increase fluency, and use standardized expressions. In my experience, returnees are able to speak fluent English because they can do all 3 of them. So let's get started on each. The first one is communication strategy. I feel that this communication strategy is what makes the biggest difference between returnees and non-English speakers. A communication strategy is a strategy for speaking. Let me explain specifically by introducing a person who has communication strategy and who doesn't have communication strategy. For example, let's say you are asked in English, "What did you eat yesterday?" And you want to answer, "I ate curry and rice yesterday." First, before answering, everyone, including native speakers, first have to think about what they ate yesterday. Then, if you're a learner who doesn't have communication strategy, you first think in Japanese. 私は昨日カレーライスを食べた. Then they try to translate that whole sentence into English. 私は食べたカレーライスを昨日. But that takes a lot of time, so in the end, they might not be able to speak anything. I think a lot of Japanese people have experience in this. On the other hand, if you're a person who has communication strategy, you will think like this. While you are thinking about what you actually ate, you save time by using fillers such as, let me think. While you're saving time, you try to come up with a sentence. It would be best if you can say, "I ate Korean rice yesterday." But let's say that's difficult. In this case, before trying to convert Japanese sentences into English, people who have communication strategies will first just say the words. So he or she will say, yesterday, Korean rice. If you say that, then the other person will say, "Oh, you ate Korean rice yesterday." Then you can say, "Yes, I ate Korean rice yesterday." Do you see the difference between these two? Just by having a strategy for speaking like this, you can continue to speak English. Returnees can speak English because they can do this. Some might say these techniques are strategies to avoid speaking English. So you will never end up speaking English. However, in the first place, English conversation conversation is something you create with your partner. TED Talks are often used to learn English, and it is true that you can learn a lot from these videos. However, a conversation is not one way, and no native speakers speak English in such a coherent manner when conversing. Communication strategies are quite systematic, and they can be used in a variety of ways. In addition to the time-buying, let me see. There are other communication strategies such as listening again, paraphrasing, request for assistance, and avoidance. If there's demand, I would like to introduce each of them in detail, so please comment below if you are interested. The next way to speak English like a returnee is to increase fluency. Fluency means 流暢さ in Japanese. Often, people feel that returnees and English speakers speak smoothly, speak fluent. This is because their English has high fluency. Fluency is measured by how people speak English quickly, speak with fewer pauses, and speak with fewer restatements. For example, my name is Hiroki and I teach English. Is considered highly fluent, and my name is Hiroki and I teach English. This is considered low fluency. Most English certification exams that have a speaking section have this as one of the items evaluated. So the question is, how do we train fluency? There are two ways. Become familiar with native speaker speed. And second, train to form sentences quickly. In order to get used to native speaker speed, I recommend reading aloud and shadowing. By shadowing, you will get used to the speaker's speed, which will help you speak English faster and with fewer pauses. As for number two, in order to increase fluency, you need to be able to form sentences quickly. Doing things like shunkan eisakubun will definitely help you increase your fluency. Please check out my other videos for more information on these kinds of trainings. The link is in the descriptions below. Fluency is extremely important. Please be aware of this when you study English. The last one is to use standardized expressions. Standardized expressions are expressions such as phrasal verbs, give up, take part in, or idiomatic expressions such as break a leg, under the weather. In fact, it is estimated that 50 to 80% of native speakers' speech is consisted of standardized expressions. In other words, at least more than half of native speakers' speech is used by standardized expressions. And not surprisingly, returnees use them a lot too. For example, compared to ordinary words such as participate, a standardized expression, take part in, is used more often by native speakers and returnees in a daily basis. Also, the returnees and native speakers feel that standardized expressions are easier than ordinary words. This is very different from Japanese English learners. They feel that standardized expressions are very difficult. So, in order to speak like a returnee, you need to learn standardized expressions. There are many categories of standardized expressions. Phrasal verbs, idiomatic expressions, collocations, sentence structures, and so on. In my opinion, the most important of these are phrasal verbs such as give up, take part in. So it is best to memorize these, but unfortunately, there are more than 8,000 phrasal verbs in total. And what makes it worse, each phrasal verb has an average of 5 to 6 meanings. To solve this problem, a professor at the University of Nottingham has created a list of 150 highly frequently used phrasal verbs with their meanings. You can use this to practice standardized expressions so you can speak better English. You can check the link in the description section. However, unfortunately, this, of course, has no Japanese translation. So, I made my own list of 150 essential phrasal verbs with Japanese translation because I want Japanese learners to use it. If you want to get this for free, please register on my official line from the description section. By memorizing these standardized expressions, you can speak English like a returnee. Let me say one last thing. There are very few people today in Japan who can speak English. And I think that there are many people who think that it is impossible to speak English like a returnee. That's because they learn English at school, but they don't learn how to speak English. Of course, even returnees did not learn to speak English easily. So it is not easy to learn to speak English in Japan. However, as I have shown in the video today, by studying English with an understanding of how returnees speak English, you will definitely be able to speak English in Japan. I will continue to introduce these methods of learning how to speak English. So if you're interested, please subscribe to my channel. Till then, see you in the next video.